Hey guys, and welcome to part 1 of Tanker's Guide to Everything. I'm planning for this to be a 3-part series, starting with this beginner's video covering some of the basics of how to tank in Hell Let Loose. Later videos will get into more detailed and tactical aspects of tank combat and overall strategy on how to be effective, as well as some advanced tips for more veteran players. In this video, I'll be going over the following topics: basic tank operation, tank types and their roles, understanding modules and damage, where to shoot, and how to deal with enemy AT. But before moving on, I have to give a huge, massive shout out and thanks to Starlord from WTH. Without his help, this guide would have never been made. Please check out the links below to all his stuff because he's the real deal when it comes to knowledge about this game. And another shout out to my friend C-Dub, who's always supporting me and the rest of the guys over at Team Dix. You guys are great, and thanks for helping me try and create the best content that I can for this game. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the other videos on Hell Let Loose, like some of the other guys, or you might be interested in watching a highlight clip from some of the private matches over at Team Dix. And hey, if you like what you see, then maybe think about subscribing. Alright, let's get started. Tanks are controlled by 3 people and spawn at fixed locations at the edge of the map. The 3 crew members are the driver, the gunner, and the tank commander. The driver controls the tank using WASD, but you will first need to start the engine by holding down the E key. You'll also need to perform gear changes by using shift and control. Once you get into first gear, wait for the revs to max out and then hold shift to go from first to fourth gear directly. This will give you the most acceleration from a standing start. Reverse is done by pressing Ctrl until you reach that gear and then pressing W. So think of W and S as throttle and brake, not as forwards and back. Drivers can also fire a machine gun using the mouse, but this machine gun is mostly for suppression. It is really hard to be precise with it, so just use it to suppress enemy soldiers whenever necessary. As a general rule of thumb, tanks can go across wooden fences but not hedgerows, ditches, or trenches. Heavy tanks in general, like the Sherman jumbo tanks and the Tiger, are really prone to getting stuck on uneven terrain, so you should be extremely careful with them. Hopefully, this is something that will change with a future update. Gunners control the turret using WASD and can select between HE and AP rounds. HE or high explosive rounds are great against infantry and will kill anything within a roughly 40-meter radius of the explosion. However, that explosion will not get people hiding behind walls or inside trenches. The AP round is what you want to shoot tanks with. As soon as you get into the tank, press R to get a round in the chamber, and always do this after each shot. You should be pressing R while you're shooting. I would recommend always driving around with an AP shot loaded, since if you run into an enemy tank with an HE round chambered, you will probably die before you can get the necessary amount of shots in. If you know you'll be engaging with a tank soon and you have an HE round loaded, just aim as high as you can and fire that shot. That will make it not explode anywhere near you, so you won't be giving away your position and you'll be able to switch the shot. Gunners also have a machine gun which is tied to your turret movement. Unlike the driver's machine gun, you will be able to take out a decent amount of enemies with it, but remember that the sight is centered for the gun. The machine gun will hit somewhere to the right of those crosshairs. Lastly, we have the spotter or tank commander. He can use a periscope by rolling the mouse wheel in and out. The tank commander is the leader of the tank and should tell the driver where to go and how to get there, using his ping to show the driver where to go. He's the eyes and the brain of the tank, the one who's looking at the map and seeing where people are dying, figuring out where tanks are, and so on. The tank commander should always be the crew leader because he has a unique insight into the battlefield and will benefit the most from that commander chat. A tank without one of these positions being manned is compromised by either a lack of immediate firepower, mobility, or visibility, so please tank in a full squad or at least a two-man squad. You should never, ever tank solo unless you're playing in a mostly empty server and you're just messing around. Tanks spawn at fixed locations at the edge of the map and can be identified from the map by the number of dots ranging from 1 to 3 as light, medium, and heavy tanks. The one with a triangle inside is the armored recon vehicle, and it is not a tank. A common mistake a lot of people make when trying out tanks for the first time is one that I'm sure you've seen plenty of times. Everyone wants to go on the German side and use the Tiger because they've seen the same movies we've all seen, and that's the coolest tank out there. This is a mistake I've made myself. The problem here is that the Tiger is not only a pretty mediocre tank in the game right now, but it's also the wrong way to think about tanks in general. The Tiger isn't just a Panther with a larger HP bar and a better cannon. It is a fundamentally different vehicle suited for an entirely different style of gameplay. Light, medium, and heavy tanks have different roles, just like the role of medic is different from that of the support or the engineer. Heavy tanks are slow, well armored, and prone to getting stuck when traversing difficult terrain. This, as you might have guessed, makes them more suitable for defense. Medium tanks, being faster and more maneuverable, are better suited for more aggressive offensive action. Light tanks, which are extremely vulnerable, should be used in a supporting role, always far away from the enemy lines, always relocating after taking down a few enemies. Think of them as a kind of well-armored machine gun position. You want to shoot people from far away and never let anyone get too close. If you kill some soldiers, one of them will respawn as an anti-tank, and if you're still in the same spot, he'll just take you out. It's pretty easy to tell which tank is which on the German side because they are all fairly different, but for the Shermans not so much, so here's some ways that you can tell them apart. Your basic Sherman, the medium tank, has a bunch of crap piled in front of the armor, a rounder shape, and has stars that you can see from the front and the sides. The jumbo tanks are the heavier tanks and have thicker armor with a boxier and cleaner look to them. Both the 75mm and 76mm versions have an antenna. The Sherman with the 76 cannon, which is widely regarded as the best tank in the game right now, has 3 very visible stars, just like the medium tank, and a larger cannon with a muzzle brake. Alright, let's talk about modules and damage. When inside the tank, you can see 3 circles in the bottom of the screen. These represent your turret, track, and hull. When you get shot, depending on where the shot lands, you will see them take damage. When your turret health goes down and the icon turns red, you will get a greatly reduced rotation speed and you will be unable to fire the MG. When the tracks go red, that means you'll be stuck in first gear. An engineer or anti-tank can use his wrench to repair your tanks, and getting repaired for just a few seconds will restore functionality to whatever module has been damaged, but repairing it to full health will take a considerable amount of time. Another way to repair your tank is by using repair stations that can be deployed by engineers on the battlefield or by going back to the headquarters and using the repair structures over there. The only difference between them is that the HQ will also resupply your ammunition, and that is currently the only way to do that in the game. Alright, next point is where to shoot enemy tanks. I will link to more detailed information on this, so I won't be getting too deep since a lot depends on which tanks are engaged and on the profile that the enemy tank is presenting to you. Is he sideways? Is he at an angle? Or is he facing you directly? Which way is his turret pointed at? That's all something that you will need to learn to assess and act accordingly. As a general rule, if the turret isn't aiming at you, I would hit the turret first. This will incapacitate the turret and you might get another shot before he's able to face you. What's more, the tank commander and gunner will have their views blurred, making target acquisition much harder. Body shots to the side and the rear are always good options if you're going to get a nearly perpendicular shot to them. Alright, last topic, how to deal with AT soldiers. More often than not, anti-tank soldiers will wait and fire their first shot directly behind you. There are a variety of different ways that I see people react to this. Some people try to escape by driving as fast as possible, some start turning their turret, and some crew members even leave the tank in hopes to shoot the guy before he fires his next shot. I'd argue that all of these are wrong. The single most effective way of dealing with this has to do with the driver. As soon as the driver knows that he got shot in the ass by an AT, he has to drop to first gear or reverse and spin the tank around while shooting his machine gun non-stop. There doesn't need to be any confirmation by the tank commander or gunner of what just happened, because if you delay this in any way, you are dead. The gunner should also start shooting his MG and ideally load an HE round, aim down towards the ground and fire a shot. If you fire at the ground, any soldiers nearby will get obliterated. If that AT happens to be further away, then you might still die from the next shot, but there's a chance that your suppressive fire might kill him or he might miss his shot. In any case, this is the absolute best chance you have at dealing with a sneaky shot from an AT guy. Okay guys, that will be all for now. If you like this video, then make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for the next 2 videos on this tank guide. Next video will be covering positioning, and some basic tactics and advanced tips will be coming later on with, more stuff. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.